Thank you for joining me for another episode of Awake and Empowered TV. I'm your host, Ethan Fox. Today I have a very special video clip from our 2018 Awake and Empowered Expo featuring Aaron Sudo. And he's discussing in this lecture the emerging financial system that's coming into being globally and things that are actually happening in the world today. And it's a little bit more technical than our usual subjects, but I think you'll find it very valuable and useful in your life. He discusses the movement toward a more people-centered society and a more people-centered financial system, the movement toward cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, as well as the sharing economy that's coming into place. So as we move into the Pluto and Aquarius, and of course the planet Uranus is in Taurus right now, as we move into this next decade and the next couple of decades, we are going toward a more people-centered society that's decentralized and not so much centralized in the hands of a few people like governments and large corporations. So this topic actually talks more in depth about what's actually taking place. It's a more of an introductory lecture into those topics, and I think you'll find it very interesting and useful and helpful on your own journey, and also give you some encouragement as to what's actually happening in the world today, that we are seeing this move happening already behind the scenes. Aaron will be at our 2019 Awake and Empowered Expo in August of 2019, and he'll be giving a workshop on these subjects as well, a bit more in depth than what you see in this lecture. And we have a variety of other amazing speakers who will also be appearing there. You can find out more at awakeandempoweredexpo.com. And also we have our Weekend in Wizardry Kids Camp coming up this June in 2019 as well. And in addition, we have our monthly, every 2 weeks actually, Conscious Youth program, which is a free online program for kids where we bring on different teachers from different backgrounds to discuss topics and to teach them things about spirituality and consciousness and channeling and a variety of other interesting topics. So that's free for any children 9 to 18 to join. And so you can do that at consciousyouth.org. So without any further delay, here's Aaron Sudo.
Well, first, I'd like to thank everybody for joining. You guys are the ones that obviously make this all possible. I'm very excited to be here today, very excited to talk to everybody. We've got a lot of amazing people coming up here on stage with some amazing gifts and some amazing stories. And I hope you guys are getting just as much out of it as I am. So my name is Aaron Sudo. We're coming into a time in this world where technology is increasing at an ever-expanding rate. And it's almost happening so fast that it's hard to see what those changes are, and everything is becoming smaller and more compact. We don't even notice the things that are happening. So I want to take some time out to go over what this technology is. I want to get down to the roots. I want to talk about why most people probably haven't heard of it or heard much about it. Let's start there first of all. So what actually is it? The blockchain. Just show of hands, who has ever heard of the blockchain? So we got probably half or so. That's actually surprising. Well, maybe not for this group. You guys are definitely trying to keep up with the rest of everything and probably a little bit ahead of the game. So that's fantastic to hear. I want to give a quick overview on what that blockchain actually is, what makes it special. When you really talk about it, it doesn't really sound that great. It's just a new twist on something that's already being done currently already. And that blockchain is essentially a database that cannot be deleted. Okay, so there's many features of this database style programming that we have now that previously we did not have. Some of those things I'm going to talk about is being distributed, where it's not just centralized in these single spots like we have, and most people are familiar with servers and what those are. We've now gone a step past that to where at the cloud we may have 4, 5, 6, 7 servers all linked up, so if something goes down, well, obviously we have some fallbacks. But now we've gone to the point where we have a server that runs like the cloud, but with 400 million backups, to where we can't even take it down if we tried. We would pretty much have to shut down the internet, and we'll talk more about that here in a little bit. Open source is the term that we'll be talking about. So open source means that the code of the programming is online and available for everybody to see, which is not typically the norm. I mean, we do have some things out there that are open source, but it's normally more for the advanced users, but now it's becoming a more popular thing. So anybody can go in and see what it looks like, see what it does, see how it works. There are no surprises, there's no hidden backdoors, etc. The next thing is it's trustless. And this is kind of a strange term because it almost sounds like the opposite of what it really is. Now that technology has advanced to a point where we can program it and automate things that we never have been able to before. So now we're cutting out the middleman because now the robot is doing its job for us. And we'll get a little bit more into that here as we get along as well. Inexpensive. So it's much cheaper to run systems like this because we're not centralizing the systems in one spot anymore. We don't have to have the hardware for that. Other people all around the planet are helping and assisting run this type of technology. And as I've said before, it is immutable. It cannot be deleted. The blockchain has been in existence now since 2009, and it has yet to be broken by anybody. So I want to go back to distributed. And I'm a very visual guy, and I found this, and this was the absolute perfect vision of what it is, where we come from, and where we're going. So the first graphic we have right here on our beautiful little, I think it's Space Invaders, as you can see what happens in the first picture when that central point is taken down and what happens. So if you have a company that's run in one spot and something happens to that company's computer, building, etc., everything that it's connected to goes out like a Christmas light. If just one is loose, the whole thing goes down. Well, we're moving from this point on to the next where we're decentralized and distributed. Now we have many working together, all performing the same functions, so that if one goes down, we have many more backups. Where we're at now is we're becoming distributed. The technology has evolved to the point almost similar to the snake eating its tail and redispersing itself into the hands of many. So the functions that were used to be only performed by big businesses can now all be done with an app on your cell phone. So that's how fast the power is coming and how accessible it's becoming, that we can just go ahead and download an app and now be part of these systems that we're going to talk about. This technology is changing the way we work in so many different areas. If I were to list them all, we'd probably take up the entire 2 hours just talking about where this technology is. Everything from medical records. Now we have a place for this type of information to go where it's very secure and it cannot be hacked. I mean, everybody's familiar with the process of going from one doctor's office to the next. What do you have to do? You have to go, you have to fill out the little request form, pay them $15, $20, $25, whatever it is for them to print out your record. And you have to drive there, go and pick it up, and then bring it over to the next system for it to be loaded. With the technology that's coming out, we no longer are going to have to be able to do these things. So we have a place where we can store all these government records, medical records, everything from city and state records, talking about the Secretary of State, the DOB. We're obviously going to be changing the way banks and money work as a whole, and we're going to be discussing that a little more in detail here as well. The insurance industries and the cloud storages, obviously we're getting to the point now, You'll be able to download an app and become a part of that cloud storage. We're going to be making use of idle value, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that as well. So getting rid of the middleman and basically diversifying everything where we can recruit individuals, very similar to a system like Uber. Everybody's heard of Uber. Now anybody that wants to be a part of that system and has time and resources to be able to do that, now they can. So maybe it's your computer at home that's sitting there half empty, wasting away. Well, you could actually put that computer to work and take some of your space and be able to host some cloud storage on it. And in doing this, you're going to be getting paid for it. And so there's so many different areas around the world that it's really taking it by storm. And the fact that we already have the internet now currently, it's being able to spread faster than the internet craze. So one of the things that I want to talk about, one of the things that everybody's probably most familiar with, is Bitcoin. Bitcoin was the first digitalized money system to be used online without the assistance of any third party. We don't need a bank. We have a bank in our pocket now. So banks were basically set up as a system to where, back in the days where we would use gold coins, gold bars, different forms in different places, came to the point where it started to become centralized so we could make it all of the same. And unfortunately, it didn't run on a trusted system where we had a machine that was honest and truthful the whole way through to manage it for us. There are many things that have happened since the Federal Reserve has taken over. In 1930 was really the decline of the dollar. I mean, we used to have $32 per ounce of gold, and since those days we have just been steadily declining until 1976, to the point where essentially we just had to move from the gold standard because we just didn't have enough gold because we printed way too much money. So there was no oversight as a whole, and the system was taken advantage of. So these systems are locked in, like Bitcoin, and set up to run at a very specific level. There will only be 21 million Bitcoins ever in existence. We've gotten to the point now where you can't even create one out of thin air. You can't just go and take out your money machine and hit the on button and sheets just start coming out. That doesn't work anymore. So it's changing the way we view money and how it's used. So Bitcoin was created in 2009. And I want to talk about who actually created that. An alias by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto. If any of you have ever heard of that name, it's not the name of a person. It is, in fact, the name of an alias. Nobody knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is. Some people, if you guys have done any research on the internet, some people will tell you it was aliens. Alien beings came down and helped out and assisted with this particular technology. I've actually, in fact, even heard this information from some channelers and readers, which is fantastic. Hey, I'm all for it. Some people said it was AI. Robots have reached a learning point to where now they can help us improve our lives and the technology that they've given us. Some individuals say it was the CIA or NSA that developed this, and it's a plan for world domination, and it's the coming of the mark of the beast. That's a mark of the beast, right? Like everybody's chipped, everybody's getting barcoded on the back of their necks, and we're all going to be enslaved, and it's the end of days. Well, I've spent a lot of time in technology, and I've worked in solution systems for over a decade now. And working through some of the processes and all the technology I've seen, it's very, very interesting because I hate to break it to those people that are really excited about the end of days and the mark of the beast, but we're already chipped, and actually that era is coming to an end. Everybody that has a cell phone, has a SIM card, that's your chip. Surprise! So it's really interesting to see where people's mind states are and how they view that. And we did it to ourselves. I mean, we did it knowingly. We signed up for it. Everybody just goes ahead pretty much and checks that box at the bottom and says, just sign to the terms and agreements of this. We'll go ahead and install this on your computer, on your cell phone, etc. And it's already happened, and this is what's come of it. But now we're looking past this point, and we're looking for what's coming up ahead. For all we know, it could have been some nerd in somebody's mother's basement. We have absolutely no idea who this individual is, Satoshi Nakamoto. So, like I said, there's many stories and individuals that have dived into trying to find out who this mystery man is, and within almost 10 years now, absolutely nobody has succeeded. One of the things that I enjoyed very much so always was the etymology of words and the origins of the words and where they come from. And it was very interesting, especially to share this with this group, what individuals had to say when diving into the root meanings of Satoshi Nakamoto. So some of the meanings that have come about are the origin of what is upcoming or next. The origin of what is upcoming next. A new era, rather. The origin of wisdom or source intelligence is what they're saying Satoshi Nakamoto actually means. Actually, one of my favorites here is born from the ashes of centralization. Somebody very close to me had explained that, once we actually find out that something is a problem, the solution is already in motion and being worked on. So the blockchain itself is very simple in that it is actually a chain of blocks. I know it's very complex. Chain of blocks, one connecting to another. And each one has a code that links it to the one before. And it goes, I think we're at 56, maybe 76,000 blocks in terms of how many transactions are being used and processed in this chain. Well, what makes it special is if any individual wants to hack this particular technology, they have to go through and hack each block itself, hack the chain to the link to the previous block, and so on and so forth. But the thing is they only have about 10 minutes to do it, because after that, the next block comes out, and then they have to start all over. So that's actually what makes this system so strong and what it is. Another interesting fact and tidbit is that if we trace it all the way to the Genesis block, the very first original block, they said it would take Satoshi Nakamoto 52 years to calculate the root code of this block. And contained within that root code of this block is the numbers 20e to the 18th, which is a very peculiar number as that relates to the unified field of everything theory. Now, it would have taken him 52 years just to calculate a block that would work for this particular algorithm. If we said, for this just to be more than coincidence, if he actually wanted to have that number show up in this block, he wouldn't have been able to do it anywhere near this lifetime. So it just adds to the mystery of what kind of help Satoshi Nakamoto actually had when making this technology. So, speaking about Bitcoin, the first digital money, what is happening with value? We are expanding at an exponential rate. It is happening extremely fast, and we're going to go over some of those numbers here in just a little while. But what is also happening is it's contracting at an extremely fast rate as well. We might have a system where we have hundreds, thousands of coins, but now they're all the same, which is kind of oxymoronish. But now we're getting to the point where we've just created a field of value, and we can interchange this value across this field, just like we can exchange data on the internet, or change data from one thing to another. We could put it on an iPhone and make it one kind. We could put it on an Android. We could make it another kind. We can change it from a PDF document to a Word document to a text file, just with the click of a button. It's digital. It's programmable. We can do whatever we want with it. So if we look at value across the world right now, really it's divided by countries. Each country has its own currency. And if we want to be able to change that currency into another type of currency, we have to go somewhere like a bank or any place where they'll be able to give you one kind of money for the next. Since we're expanding so quickly, this model doesn't really any longer work. So we've outgrown this shell. We need to move into another shell. For instance, however many companies we have, let's just say in the US. Well, let's just say we have what happened in Zimbabwe happen to the US. Hyperinflation, where individuals need to stack $100 bills to go to the gas station to fill their car. Well, because whatever happened with the US currency and something happened there, why should all the other businesses have to pay for it? Now everybody else within that community is now being taken down with it. So these borders don't really hold as much weight as they used to, and other people are becoming affected by the masses. We have Venezuela, whose currency has gone absolutely bankrupt as well. We're seeing these things in Greece, in Turkey, in China, and many more countries are about to follow suit. So we're looking at moving to a new paradigm for the system of money. And that's going to be by business and perhaps at one point even by individual. Because of this technology and the way that it's going, individuals have started talking about basic universal income. There's so many people that think about robots taking over the world. Oh my gosh, it's Skynet. Here we go. Well, it's interesting because when I think about robots taking over the world, robots don't need to get paid. So now all the things that we're currently doing, we're still paying for advertising. We're still doing and buying the same services. But now that money that's going into these systems are going to be able to be redispersed between the users and the community. So this is a quick video that I wanted to show. And this is exactly how I feel about the transition that is happening currently, and the order that I find in chaos, if you will. We take a look around, and there's many things going on across the world. We have tariff wars. We have countries' currencies going under, and everywhere we look, it's just, I can't even turn on the news anymore. So if we're looking outside the window in so many different places, there's a lot of things that seem to be going wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and play this really quick. Is everybody getting a chance to see what's going on? All right. So the wave that you're happening is essentially just the universal wave. That's the pattern they call of order and chaos, and how every problem flows into its solution. And at first you see all the bowling balls in a row, and once they let them go, you'll see maybe the first initial swing, and then you'll automatically see them start to swing into the wave. And you'll see a pattern for a moment. And then for a little while, it'll look chaotic. But really, that same pattern is going on. It just doesn't look like something we know, like something we're used to, or something that we appreciate. And then it flows into the next pattern, and it doubles up, and then triples up, and then quadruples up. And then we get to the point where the cycle starts over. So this is how I relate us moving into the digital economy, and why the world looks like what it does is we are flowing just as we need to be into this new wave of technology, this new wave of living, but it looks chaotic at the moment. So the systems that we are getting rid of and replacing with new systems, it's going to be very similar to, anybody remember what newspapers are? So we're going to be doing this, so that was because of the internet. We're going to be doing the same thing with the banks. I mean, they might still be around, but nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to need them. But it absolutely doesn't look like something that we're used to right now. And I know a lot of people, there are a lot of concerns on what the economies are looking like and where we're actually going. The solution is already in place, and it's being utilized, and it's spreading like wildfire. Just as fast as we see these other economies falling, maybe even faster, the new system is being set up and put into place. Not too many people have probably heard about the Pirate Bay. This is one of the favorite things I like to talk about. So in 2003, there was a system that was set up by a couple gentlemen, I believe in Sweden, got together and wanted to create a system where everybody could share information freely. You didn't need to ask anybody permission, and it wasn't any sort of centralized system. It was a platform to where you might download an app, or you might download an app, and we would see just everybody else that was using the same type of program. And you can connect to anybody you wanted to, and if somebody had something on there, you would be able to share that with them. Just hit the send button. So what became of this, and if you have heard of it, you probably know it for pirating software. Sharing movies, sharing music. Same thing with Napster. That'll be on my picture next time. Napster also was attacked as well by the governments. They were charged with assisted counterfeiting. Assisted counterfeiting. When in fact, they didn't do anything wrong. There was nothing that they did that was illegal. And they were charged over and over and over and over again. They lost many, many, many times until finally they did throw him in jail for assisted counterfeiting. And his response to the powers that be was, it's not my information. Whoever's sharing that illegal information with somebody else, you need to go after him. So this is they also try to take down Pirate Bay. But that's the thing is there's nothing to take down. There's no centralized figure in the middle. There's no company. There's no third party. There's nobody to go after. Everybody can download programs like this and be able to share information at free will. And they can't stop it short of shutting down the entire internet, because anybody who's connected is connected to everybody else. So this is kind of the general idea of what has happened to the internet and data. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is that very same thing that is happening to money and value. Now we don't need anybody in the middle. We can download that app and have a digital wallet and send anybody, anywhere, money. So I have an individual that I work with. He's from China, and just recently, a couple months ago, he wanted to send $50,000 back to his family. Well, it cost him an arm and a leg, and it took, I think, 4 weeks to be able to send that money his own money overseas to his family. 4 weeks. And one heck of a fee. It's insane. So we have no power over our own money. We have to depend on a company that's only open from Monday through Friday at 9 to 5 to be able to do what we want with our money. So those days are very, very, very quickly coming to an end. Now, if I wanted to send $50,000 to you, or you, or you, you too, it takes 5 to 10 minutes. And it costs me fractions of a penny. Fractions of a penny. Versus several $100s in 4 weeks. And there's nobody in the middle that needs to facilitate this transaction. So how does this happen? So how does the Bitcoin network actually work? So what the bank used to do, or still somewhat does, sorry, I'm already out of the mind state of thinking about banks and how they work. How they do work is they're the ones that are verifying the transactions. They're the ones that are saying, yes, this money is real. Yes, this person is getting it. Yes, they did get it. But now we've automated all of that. Now the machines do it. So if anybody has ever heard of the term called mining, mining works by, we have basically a network of over 400 million computers that are doing that very same job of the bank. And they can do it probably 100 million times faster than they're currently doing it for almost nothing. Well, what happens if the Bitcoin network goes down? Well, who are we going to go after? Just like Pirate Bay. Pirate Bay is still running today. It's actually known as the most resilient torrent site. And torrent is basically the name of the files that are being transferred through to individuals. They've tried to shut it down. They shut one down, 7 more pop up. It's like cutting off the heads of the Hydra. Because all of us have chosen that this is what we want. And that's why it continues to exist. So, why haven't we heard more about it? Why don't we know what it is? Why don't we know how fantastic this is? Let's talk about all these guys. I think every single one of these symbols up here is pretty much known by everybody in the room. And if we'll just do Snapchat, Twitter, Bing, which is Microsoft, Facebook, Google, and Instagram. So as we came into this cryptocurrency era and we started expanding ever rapidly, all of these companies started shutting down advertisements. And why they actually shut down advertisements surprises me. They said that they were looking out for the well-being of all the individuals using their services. Because yes, just like any other system or service in the entire world, there are scammers out there. It's not just in the cryptocurrency realm. There are scammers in any type of business or trade that you go into. People are looking to pull one over on somebody. So this is what they claim to actually prevent people from posting any sort of ads, any sort of advertisements. You couldn't even have a picture of a bee for Bitcoin because they didn't want it out there. Now, I mean, if you're going on the internet, I mean, how many people have Google at home? Google. How many have Apples? So that's almost the entire room right there. And those avenues are being shut down. Facebook just started to release that ban. We're still looking and waiting to figure out why. Maybe they have a cryptocurrency of their own and they're going to make $1 billion. We'll see. But all of these avenues, the doors are being shut and closed for our own good. When what is really happening is soon we're going to be replacing these guys too. Any centralized business, I'm going to say most centralized businesses, are going to be automated. I've worked in business automation for 10 years. I've automated myself out of a job and put myself out of work. And now I automate jobs by the thousands. By the thousands. The amount of work that's coming in and being automated so they don't have to hire hundreds of new people. That's all being done now by computers. And it's becoming faster and faster. And I'm in trouble as soon as they figure out how to automate my job. They're going to have bots that automate automators. And I'll be in that category eventually. So they don't want you to know. They want to hang on to what they have. But we're going to get to the point now, I'm going to talk about Google, for example, where we have these systems where everybody's got a computer. I don't know, I have like 6. And half of them sit in my closet, actually. They don't do anything. My main computer is on all the time, 24/7, plugged into the wall. I use it probably about half of each day, most days, but then otherwise it's just sitting there. Now we're getting to the point where I can take all of those computers out and plug them all in and use my processing power, my empty space on my hard drive to host cloud space, getting to the point now where we can host part of the internet. So everybody's familiar with what had just happened with net neutrality laws. If you're not familiar with net neutrality laws, what that is it basically gives the internet providers, I'm talking like your Comcast, your WOW, and things like that, the power to speed up or slow down service based on your website, or shut off service, for that matter. That would make all of that absolutely legal. So now, whoever got the most money basically controls what you see and what you do on the internet. So, with things like that, it's looking more and more like a dictatorship. So now, what is happening because of this is we're decentralizing the internet. Okay, guess what? We don't need the internet service providers anymore. It's getting to the point now where we're hooking up a telephone wire from one house to the next. This is metaphorically speaking. It's not as clear cut and dry as that. But we can host the internet. We connect to each other. We don't need to go through the third party in the middle. And we get paid for it. We will get paid. We will be taking money that this big company makes from all of its services, and it will be delegated to those individuals that are helping develop, to helping share these resources, to referring other people to share these resources. Moore's Law. Moore's Law states basically that every 18 months, our CPU processing speed, which is the big chip in the computer that makes it think, doubles its speed every 18 months. Doubles its speed every 18 months. So as you can see, since essentially 2007, we've blown the charts sky high out of the water. But the interesting fact of Moore's Law and CPU processors was they found that they could only get so much out of one single processor. So what happened? Dual core processor. I mean, everybody's got a little sticker on the front of their desktop. Well, this one's a Core i3, this one's a Core i5. You got to get the Core i7. You got to get the quad processor now. And now we're seeing servers and things like this in businesses with 32 cores. So it's interesting to see what's happening in the technology. We've gotten to the point where we can only get so far with one. And now we're finding that to get ahead, we need the power of many. And this is how I like to think about the end of I and the beginning of us. We've reached that point where we can keep doing what we're doing, but we're not going to get any further. We've gone as far as we can alone. We can't get any further until we connect and unite and be able to use the power of all of us, just like all of these processors in a computer. The more connections that we have, the faster we get, the more efficient we become, and the more we get out of it. So, what is actually developing here is something that I like to call the sharing economy. I want to talk real quick about Uber drivers. So anybody can go and download the app, right, that has a car. You go through the little process. Shipped is another one. I get my groceries delivered. I am that lazy. Anybody can go and log on to Shipped. I get a different person every single time, every week. I think I've had like 32 different people so far. But anybody can join now. Anybody that has free time. I got free time. I can run to the grocery. I can make $50. That sounds great. Let's do that. So this is the beginning of decentralization. I mean, we've killed the taxi cab companies. I haven't seen a taxi. I don't even know how long. So we're going to be taking that actually a step further. The systems that are developing and evolving currently are set up so that, say I have a garage full of things that just sit there all the time. I got a chainsaw, I got a bike, I got a lawnmower. So we're developing also what's called the Internet of Things, or IoT, if anybody has heard of that before. So now all we have to do is slap something that you can't even really see onto an item to be able to track that GPS location anywhere in the world. So these systems are going to allow us to be able to Uberize ourselves in any single way that we want to. Let's say I'm going on Tuesday at 4 o'clock and I'm driving from point A to point B and I got an extra 2 seats in my car. Does anybody need a ride? Or I got a chainsaw. If you need one, sure, you can come over and rent mine for $5. Lawnmower, yep, you can take that too. Just bring it back when you're done. And the other person on the end is going, oh, I don't have a lawnmower or a chainsaw. Maybe I could find one online. You're just going to be able to plug in what you need, and you're going to be automatically connected with that person. So we have so much idle value sitting around that is wasting away. Meanwhile, people are buying more and more and more stuff every passing day. It just doesn't stop. The supermarkets are just getting bigger and bigger. I could drive a car through the aisles at Walmart. It's that big. Meanwhile, we have all of these things wasting away, and we're just throwing more and more money out there and piling up more and more stuff in our garages. So as this technology evolves, and we realize, well, I don't want to pay $500 for a chainsaw. I don't know how much a chainsaw costs. I don't know. $300, $200 for the cheap one, maybe. I need it one time. I can go and $5. Sure, bring it back a couple hours. But not only that is we're developing these systems on incentive. Now, when I was growing up as a kid, my mom loved that wooden spoon. Broke several of them on me. Several spoons. So I've known many a spoon. So they taught by punishment. And to be honest with you, the only thing that taught me to do was run a lot faster. I got quick. And now with this technology, we're going to be doing it on incentive. And what does that mean exactly? Well, it's going to be done on so many different levels, and just a few of them that I want to talk about. Let's say I want to get that chainsaw, but that person looks at you and, well, you're going to get ratings now. People might say, you know what, this person was a wonderful customer. Would definitely do business with this person again. So you're getting rated as a consumer, and you're getting rated on the other end as well. Yes, this person's equipment is great. If you guys need it, it works well. It's okay to go there and use it. And you're getting all of these different opinions from the people that you can go ahead and see. So now me as a renter, I can view the individuals coming to me and base them on their profile. Well, if this person doesn't take care of stuff, oh, well, the last guy that you rented a chainsaw from said you took it back and it was broken. No, I'm sorry. You can't use my chainsaw. So every time you're getting stars, you're getting actually money. You're getting incentivized to do well. You're getting incentivized to be a part of that community and refer people or write a review so that other people know to go there too. So the better off you work in these systems, the more value you retain. And the systems that work well and the individuals that work well within it are going to be rewarded. We're going to get to the point where we get paid for the commercials that we watch. The individuals that pay for advertising on YouTube and Twitter and things like that, on the new systems, you're going to be paying for the advertising, and that money is going to be thrown into a bucket to incentivize all the other individuals because we're paying a robot. Robots don't eat. Robots don't sleep. They don't need to get paid. They don't need money. So this money is being pooled up to run these systems, to incentivize individuals. And it's going to teach individuals. It's going to teach them the right way. My son is 5 years old. He's a fantastic kid. Can't listen, worth a darn. And I get nowhere by yelling at him. I could yell at him till I'm blue in the face, but I say, hey, man, you know what? If you do this today, I'll give you a Jolly Rancher. Done. Through and through. I mean, they're being incentivized. This is how we learn. This is how we learn as human beings. And we have no systems put in place to actually do this. So these systems being put out there we don't have to go and try to change the old system. The new systems are built. And because they're much better than the previous ones, it's going to, well, hey, these guys are giving out free stuff and free money, and if I watch my commercials on here, I'm going to get paid for them. Why would I keep doing what I'm doing? Talking about the country's currencies all around the world. We see just recently, I think the latest one I've seen is the Turkish lira. Took a 20% hit in inflation. And because the cryptocurrency exchanges are set up in those countries, you have to go to if I was in Turkey, and I wanted to buy Bitcoin in Turkey, because I'm worried that my money is going to be valueless here soon, and they see cryptocurrency doing so well, we saw a 350% increase in market exchanges every time a country's currency goes down. And China took a 15% dip. Over 250% market increase in the cryptocurrency exchanges. That was one of my biggest fears about getting into this. I've been into this field now for probably about 2 to 3 years, and I was worried. I've been worried about the dollar for a while now. And what happens when this type of thing goes on inside of a country? Venezuela has done the same exact thing as Zimbabwe. They went flatline down to nothing. Venezuela is now basically infested with a cryptocurrency called Dash. And it's on billboards, it's on magazines, they have public groups set up to where they give out cell phones and give out cryptocurrency to teach people how to use it. course, they make those individuals give that money to local businesses to support and grow the local economy. But now everybody's connected to a cell, and you can do this with your cell phone. The entire country, the whole country. So we're starting to see this more and more, and I'm no longer concerned with what's going to happen when we have that trouble here as more and more economies start to fall. Argentina is next. Japan has one of the highest national debts in the world. I think of almost 200 or 120 trillion dollars. What's the backup? Nobody is trusting in the governments anymore. Any country that has ever printed money has never lasted. I was talking with a gentleman much, much older than I. He's very much retired. And he said, I don't think that's going to happen. He's like, the US dollar has always been around. Given he might have been, I'm going to say at least 80. That's all he's ever known. And that's a long time to be alive. Long time to be alive, and it's never changed. But we are the country that has lasted much longer than anyone, almost 150 years. But there isn't a single country yet that has printed cash that has never gone down to zero. So we've seen the rate of inflation rise. I think our US dollar is worth about 5% of what it was in 1930, since the Federal Reserve had taken over. And it hasn't stopped going down yet. And just looking at the records of what the Federal Reserve prints, it's just by the millions. 40 million, 100 million, 50 million. It's literally taking the money right out of our pockets. You go to the grocery store and you're pushing around your cart, it only gets about half full with $100 now. I remember when $100 used to fill that basket up. And we don't see it. We don't really stop to think about it. What a system like this can do to our money. So cryptocurrency really is a global distributed network of true value bound by trust. So when people come up to me and ask me, they're like, Bitcoin is not money. I'm like, you are absolutely right. It is not. It is much better than money. So let's just compare it to a system of just even gold at this point in time. I will be answering questions shortly. Even gold at this time. So in 1945, the U.S. was the world leader of gold holdings and therefore became the world reserve currency. In 1976, the gold standard was abolished and we went over to the petrodollar. Now, Russia and China are holding all the gold, but yet we're still the reserve currency. So it used to be, it was tied to gold, but we don't even really fully, truly know what it's tied to anymore. They don't teach money in schools. They don't want you to know about money in schools. Fractional reserve banking is one of the most ridiculous concepts, where basically is everything was worth 7 times more than we really say it is, and it just goes on and on and on from there. This system that is created now, a Bitcoin is a Bitcoin. The demand for it goes up, the price goes up. And that's why when everybody talks about this is a fluctuating market, it's too volatile, it's going up, it's going down. Well, yeah. I was like, have you seen how much your US dollar has gone down? And it hasn't gone up. So cryptocurrency is not money. And I'm glad that it's not money. This is now a connection of value that can be transferred from one person to another, and we are in control and in power of our own currencies. So where is cryptocurrency now? Cryptocurrency is now legal in almost half of the countries around the world. So there's 76 flags up here, and 76 countries. And actually, this slide was actually from 6 weeks ago, and I'm almost positive there's probably about at least 4 or 5 more that we could probably add to this list. And that's how quickly it's growing. So in cryptocurrency, let's see if this movie's going to play. Let's see if it'll be nice. In cryptocurrency, there are things set up called ICOs. So everybody's familiar or heard of an initial public offering for stocks and things like that. So the current system is set up to where IPOs are basically there for the majority of venture capitalists, individuals with big money, giant pockets, the whales, so to speak. Most of the IPOs that come out aren't even available to us unless we're worth $2 million. To be an accredited investor, I think your net worth has to be $2 million. So it makes it even more difficult to make money if you don't have money. And that's definitely by design. With the rise of cryptocurrency, we can now create a cryptocurrency and distribute those coins as an ICO, or an initial coin offering. And because cryptocurrency has been developed by and used by people, everyday people, the big businesses have actually not found it stable enough to get involved, so they won't touch it yet. So as it's grown, it's given all of us, the little people, at least me, the opportunity to join in to some of these amazing investment opportunities. And that's one of also the things that we're waiting for in this technology is the technology is just now being built to make it secure enough and insured for the whales to come in and dump their money in you. And that hasn't happened yet because there was no structure for it to be done. So all of these some of the venture capitalists are hopping in regardless. I think Mark Cuban, the guy from Shark Tank, he's heavily invested, and there's a few big names and other investors that are as well. Meanwhile, we have individuals like JP Morgan on CNN going, Bitcoin is a scam. Bitcoin is a bubble. And when that happens, we see the price drop 20%. Guess what happened a week later? $100 million by JP Morgan was invested and dumped into Bitcoin. Goldman Sachs, Bitcoin will never work out. It's a fad. 45% drop in Bitcoin. In that month, Goldman Sachs was the largest investor to dump money into cryptocurrency. So every time, they know they have the power. They can scare people left and right. Now, I am not a financial advisor by any means, but I do a lot of research. And every time they come out on the news, the only time they said something good was when Bitcoin reached $20,000 in December of 2017. So to rewind back from that, it was $1,000 in January of 2017. It climbed up to $10,000 by November, and another $10,000 on top of that to reach $20,000 just in December, in 30 days. And when it reached 10,000 was the only point where CNN came out and said, hey, guess what, guys? Bitcoin's $10,000. So everybody was just flocking by the masses to buy Bitcoin. People were mortgaging their houses, selling their second homes, going, this is it. Hey, guys, Bitcoin 50,000, here we come. Only to be known that the individuals in the market know how the market works. People make money in the market by other people not knowing how to make money in the market. And that price came crashing down, and we've been floating right around $7,000. Oh, Bitcoin's done. Bitcoin, there's the bubble. It's gone. Well, that's the only time they wanted individuals to buy in, was so that the people that have already made money could make more and pull out and take it from everybody else. It's unfortunate. Then there are those, especially all those in that position, saying, Bitcoin's done. I lost my second home. I'm out on my second mortgage now. I don't know what I'm going to do. And they're like, it crashed. It's done. When we really look at it, we're like, we were at $1,000 in January in 2017. We're at $7,000 right now. How did we go down? Well, it depends on if you got in at the top of the mountain and went skydiving, or whether you started at the bottom of the mountain and worked your way up but still came out on top. So all those that say that, oh, it's crashing, it's crashing, it's crashing. Oh, actually, it's growing in an exponential rate, and it doesn't show any signs of stopping. The technology that we have coming up in November by the New York City Stock Exchange is called Backed. There was a point in time not too long ago, probably about 3 or 4 months ago, when everybody's like, well, when's Starbucks going to accept Bitcoin? When are the masses going to accept Bitcoin? What about McDonald's? I'll do it when McDonald's does it. And that's where everybody thought it was going. But we're at the point now where technology is going so fast, we're skipping over that step. The systems that are going to be put in place are now allowing us to make use of this programmable money. So with this new system called Backed in November, anybody that uses this network, I can go into McDonald's and I can pay with Bitcoin, with a debit card, and they can get Chinese yen if they wanted to. They can get ruples. They can get one of the other probably top 10 major cryptocurrencies, because that's what they'll start with. They could get euros. We've reached the point now where it is programmable. And it doesn't matter what you want to give or what you want to get. In the next few months, it's going to be spitting out whatever you want on the other side. So with these ICOs that are coming out, we're growing so fast. I want to show this clip, and I'm hoping it's going to work. Oh, yes. So this is the growth of ICOs. We're looking at March of 2014. Now, Bitcoin started in 2009, and it really took a long time to be able to be set up and tested and trusted. They're like, yeah, there's really something to this. And then individuals started catching on, and they started figuring out it was a better way. If I wanted to raise money, all I would have to do, and I have a business plan set up, business cases, business uses, I can create my own cryptocurrency and sell it just like a stock, quarter by quarter. We're at May 2016 now. I don't have to go over accredited investors. Somebody once told me, if you want to make $1 million, what's the easiest way to do that? You find 1 million people and figure out how to get $1 from them. It's much, much easier to do than go after one person and get $1 million. And now everybody is starting to catch on and figure that out. Now we're in 2017. And the rate, it's hard to keep up. I research this stuff 30 hours a day, and there is just no way one person can know it all and what this is looking like. So what this actually is 1,200 buckets, if we put it in perspective. And that was by the end of 2017. So that was Bitcoin's 10,000. So let's take a look at 2017. We did 1,200 cryptos, 1,200 different coins. Now, all of them have different use cases. Some are like branding. If you think about like a Dave & Buster's or an Applebee gift card, these types of things are going to transform from gift cards to cryptocurrencies. And we're going to get to the point where if I want to go to the Apple store and buy something off the shelf, and I have crypto from Applebee's, I could push it through the system, and Apple can get their coins on the other end. We're just transferring the value from one to another. Value is becoming so much more transparent and liquid to the point where we're actually going to be able to see, probably on the computer, what those companies are worth just by the demands. So the ones that incentivize are going to be getting more business and more people if they're run better, and we, the people, are going to choose which systems we're using. And we're going to be able to see what systems, well, this system is doing really good over here. This one's worth such and such money. Oh, I'm going to go check out this one because they said they were doing the same thing as this one, but they're doing way better. Let's find out why. So we got a whole new level of transparency in the way people are doing business. There was 552 ICOs in 2017. The amount of money that was crowdfunded by these ICOs was an average of $13.7 million per ICO. So if you had a good business plan and people liked what you were doing, you could raise this much money in 6 weeks. $7 billion total in 2017. And we had an all-time high of Bitcoin in 2017. So this slide was actually made 6 weeks ago. And at that time, there were 1,600 coins on the market. That was a 33% increase. 537, so this was almost at the half point of the year. So we've doubled the amount of cryptocurrencies and ICOs that are coming into this, the amount of ICOs that came into this space. Now we're averaging $25.5 million with each ICO, for a total of $14 billion. So not only have we doubled at this rate the amount of ICOs, we've doubled the amount of money going into ICOs, quadrupling the money that is happening. So 6-7 weeks ago was the day I made this slide. And the other day I looked to see how many cryptocurrencies there were. This is 6 weeks later. There's 1,900. 1,900. We're going parabolic. The total market cap, meaning all the money and all the coins worth, in December of 2017 was almost $1 trillion. And now we're getting close to doubling the potential of being able to have that much more. And it is not slowing down anytime soon. So Bitcoin hit $20,000 in 2017. Oh, we have yet to see what Bitcoin is going to do this year or shortly after, especially with the rise of companies and systems like Bakkt that are going to allow us to do things that we never even thought of before. So where are we at now? Like Bitcoin hit 20,000, guys. It's over. Like, it's too late to get in. So there's a technological adoption scale for all technology to be applied to the masses. And this is what it looks like. So the innovators are the ones that are building and creating these systems. As you can see, that is just skyrocketing right now. So really we're just entering the early adopters. So You can actually tell, because it's all public information, how many Bitcoin wallets there are out there that are actively being used. 30 million. So we're talking about 7.5 billion people on the planet. Even in smaller third world countries now, everybody's got a cell phone. So we're not just looking at the well-to-do economies throughout the world. We're talking about all economies having the ability to have a bank account in their pocket, which was never possible before. Being able to buy things online, increasing the amount of individuals that we're having in the market, and increasing the way and the benefits that we can use this market. So the early adopters is where we're at right now, somewhere in between 3 and 13%. Only 30 million active Bitcoin wallets. I have 6 of those wallets, just myself. Probably like a bunch of other crazy individuals that just can't get enough. We have many. So even if we just put that, let's just say 50 million people have Bitcoin wallets. That is such a tiny piece of the pie, especially what is happening in all of these different countries' currencies. Now, the next wave that we see, we're getting ready for the institutional money to come in. The systems are just now being released. We're talking about NASDAQ, talking about the New York City Stock Exchange. Basically insured, backed up institutions now saying, yes, it's safe to dump your millions with me. We haven't even seen the big money come in yet, what that is going to look like, because they're all going to want a piece. They know what's going on. They're the ones that are telling us to look one way while they're going the other way. They know, they're well aware. So the next phase that we're looking at, and this is from smartphones to the internet and now cryptocurrency, is the 34% wave. And we're going to see some exponential rises in what's to come in offerings and services and how they're used and how we look at consumption as a whole. Now, same with the late majority. Whatever you do, I urge you all, do some research, look into it. Don't become a laggard. The last people that sold everything and ran to the gold rush were left with nothing. This is a digital, global gold rush that is occurring. So, honestly, with all the things that are going around in the world, there are so many things that are so much better ready to take its place. We're looking at moving the business from the big business and the third parties to the individuals. We're looking at smart cities and smart governments. Yes, like your term, like the smartphone, smart cities and smart governments. Voting on the blockchain, now in Switzerland. Australia is also one of the leading cryptocurrency communities. And they're going to be the first ones to put together a e-government or smart government, voting on the blockchain again there. Public records on the blockchain, secure access. The sharing economy we've already talked about. Energy efficiency, smart grids, smart cities. We will know how much power we're using. These systems will be run by AI. Yes, robots are taking over the world. Yes, that is a good thing. Because they will be able to let us know when we should buy energy, because it's low right now. We'll be able to save it for when it's high. We'll be able to trade it. We'll be able to shift things across this network of value with a touch of a button. That's value of anything. That's value of the energy you store to power your house from solar panels. That's your mobile bandwidth. Well, I only use 40 gigs. I don't need these other 20. I just sold them to Fred because he needed some more for his plan. I made money and he saved money. Anything that we have that's being put to the side and unused that we're paying for anyway, that's being wasted, is going to be redispersed. There is going to be a flood of efficiency and how we're being able to use and access everything that we do. And we'll be able to trust these systems. I guarantee if they build a system, there's going to be many, many, many people that are checking out that open source code on the internet and saying, well, here's the back door right here. This is where the trap door is. It's all open. It's all public. And now, if you want to make money, you're going to have to. Because if you got closed doors, we don't trust you. The community of trust is being built. The community of connection is being built. And all of us are going to be a part of it. So what do I recommend? Learn about it. Keep your ears open. Become part of that system. Every dollar is a vote. Very, very good friend of mine told me, and he is absolutely right. Because for every dollar we give, we are giving away our power, and we want to ensure that it's for the benefit of everybody. Just because it's not legal tender. So cryptocurrency has not been deemed a legal tender in the United States. It is a commodity which is taxed anywhere from 20 to 60%, depending on how long you hold it, when you trade it, making it very difficult in the US to buy a cup of coffee right now for Bitcoin because you have to calculate your taxes when you do that for that purchase that you made. So if you made 14 cents by the time you bought a cup of coffee for Bitcoin off of that Bitcoin, which Bitcoin did I buy? That one? This one? Wait, what day did I spend? They are making it very difficult for us to be able to use it. They don't want us to. They're going to hold on as long as they can. Companies like PayPal are going to say, yes, we will take care of your cryptocurrency transactions for a fee. The idea is to know and be aware that we can do that on our own. We are taking back the power. We no longer need these individuals and entities in the middle taking up all the profit when we could do it ourselves. Remember that money is an idea. What gives money value is the demand and the recognition that it is worth something. And more people are waking up every day to see that. There is an island hundreds of years ago called the island of Yape. And at the island of Yape, they had giant stones taller than I was, giant limestones like wheels that took many, many people to move. And these stones were actually used by the wealthy. Now, there was only so many people on the island, so when you transferred some of this stone, everybody knew about it. Okay, that stone's yours now. And everybody knew whose it was. There was no argument, and that's what was used for money. And the only thing that it takes is the recognition of, yes, we agree to use that. There's even one that was these large stones were actually brought over from the mainland, and one of the stones was lost at sea with a ship and still sitting at the bottom of the water. But everybody knew whose it was, and they still, as a community, accepted it and used it. And now we have a system to be able to do the same thing. Yes, we are much larger than the island of Yape. It's probably had a couple hundred people. But now we have a system that can validate and trust that the money we're using is real, it's not counterfeit, and can be shared accordingly. So keep your eyes open, do some research, learn what the digital economy is bringing. There are 1,900 different kinds of coins. And a lot of them all have to do with a lot of the very same things that we're using today. And not only can it be a good investment, which yes, you can make some money in cryptocurrency. There are many people that do. But it is so much more. It's about what cryptocurrency stands for. It's about how it's changing individuals' minds. It's about changing the way we learn. And it's about teaching other people. And that's why I'm up here bringing this to you guys today. So, thank you all for coming. It's fantastic being able to share this with everybody, and I think we can do some questions.
One thing that's driving a lot of people, including me, crazy is all this talk about this RV global currency reset, Nassar Jassar thing, and the forces that are allegedly behind it. I mean, there's Benjamin Fulford. He's talked about a lot, the dragon families in China, and James Gilliland, who some people at this conference would know from being interacting with his conferences as well, has talked about like the dragon family saw some clouds in the sky that talked about RV, that gave him the idea to have RV come forward with the global currency reset of a gold-backed currency, and it's driving everybody crazy that we hear that this is supposed to happen, and it's been saying that since 2012, and even the ET contactees are in on the thing with their ET contacts saying maybe in about 2 to 3 years, but we don't follow time, so don't really trust us. So how does that all factor into the cryptocurrency thing? The key, of course, being that this RV is supposed to be a go-back currency, which after maybe 10 to 15 years will lead to no money at all.
So that's a great question. It is a topic on a lot of people's minds in this area. Now, the things that I have heard and the research that I have done, that global currency reset is a very good possibility by the actual International Monetary Fund. So there's a group of, they call it G20, where basically all of the leaders of finance and the ministries of finance and the head honchos that are in charge of major finance get together and discuss. Now, the last meeting was set in June 2018, and they have not released any discussions in terms of what they're actually going to do, because if it happens, it's going to be by this particular group. And they won't let them talk about it. Do I think that it is going to happen personally? Yes, I personally do. I think they will try to institute this system and get people to use it. And that's actually one of the main reasons why I'm up here doing this, is because we have choices now. I think also you asked me a question earlier about Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is not a great store of value or being able to use to buy a cup of coffee, etc. It's not good for just day-to-day transactions, and that's absolutely right. We have, and that's why they call it digital gold, so to speak. So we're seeing this new asset class come about. This asset class is not going away, even by the powers that be. If they wanted to get rid of it, they would literally have to shut down the entire internet to try, just like Pirate Bay. And many, many systems that are being developed to decentralize the internet are also in motion. So even if they shut it down, we will still have options. But because this system is built better than the previous system, people are waking up to realize, now you have a choice. There will be people that probably fall under a global reset currency if they actually do it. There will be many people, which is the exact reason I want to spread the awareness that we have a choice. We are now able to choose to take the power into our own hands. Now, with cryptocurrency, a government cannot shut down your Bitcoin wallet. They cannot freeze your account. They cannot stop transactions from going in and out whatsoever. It can't be done. So even in the event that there is a global currency reset, we have options. Every dollar is a vote. And where we vote matters. I've always said I'll start voting when it's on the blockchain. Little do I realize it's on the blockchain, which is why I choose to use it. I put my money and my faith in the systems that I believe in. We are creating our own reality. We are choosing what businesses thrive. We have the choice. So I guess, regardless of whether that happens or not, I'm unconcerned. Will there be hard times around the world? I do believe that there will be. But getting ahead of the game, now they didn't go over to Venezuela until quite some time after their currency hyperinflated. I want to go out there and spread the awareness and get people involved before that type of thing happens. So that even if it does, we'll be okay. Like I said before, the questions that I had was, well, what if that happens to us here in the US? Like, wow. And in every other country so far, it has been proving that that's where people are turning to. They're realizing what they're doing to the money systems, and they are choosing another way. So does that answer? At least to the best of my ability? Excellent. Anybody else?
How long do you think will Bitcoin be staying at number one, considering the high amount of energy it uses?
That's an interesting question. So right now, when I say the word cryptocurrency, it's like, what's the first thing to come to your mind? Bitcoin, right? Everybody knows what Bitcoin is, for the most part. And since Bitcoin was the first and has proven itself, Bitcoin has been the means to trade into any other cryptocurrency. If I want to buy these 20 other currencies, the first thing I have to do is find somewhere where I can trade my money, US dollars, for cryptocurrency. And I have very few choices. I got about 5, 6, 7, 8 maybe on different systems. But the easiest one, there's only 5 options to trade money, paper dollars, for digital cash. And now at the exponential rate that's rising, Bitcoin is being used as a means of transfer in and out of all of these other currencies. So it's become the universal currency so far. And I don't see that slowing down with the rate of new systems that are coming out. Do I think it will happen eventually? Yes, it will have to. Currently, we can only do about 8 transactions per second on the Bitcoin network, which makes it one of the slowest. But right now, the tortoise is winning the race. It's proving itself. There will be better systems. I mean, AOL is still not around. You know, it took quite some time for Google, eBay, Amazon to get there. The giants that learned from everybody else that fell before. So will there be more? Yes, I do. I think it will take a little while. I think Bitcoin will always stay digital gold. You don't go to the grocery store and purchase your groceries with a gold bar or a gold coin. You know, it's not the best. I mean, maybe, I'm sure somebody might, who knows, maybe a mom and pop shop, but there will be better options. And it will happen rather quickly. So it will be exciting to see what actually does happen, but I still think it will hold a title moving forward and remaining digital gold.
First of all, I want to say this is the first time I've heard of it. I don't know where I've been, but 10 years is a long time to not know. And I just want to say, really just acknowledge you for having this presentation be very easy to understand and rolling. And I like the trust. I like the community. I think it sounds like a great thing. Of course, I'm going to do number 1 and educate myself. So with that said, my question would be, do you have a website? Is there, like, where would you point me? In what direction? I'd like to kind of,
Absolutely. So first and foremost, we are doing a workshop actually right after this presentation at 8 o'clock. What time is it? Okay. And what that particular workshop is a general overview of what to expect when getting into this space. So because we're no longer relying on a bank to just take care of it for us, you know, when you get that form that's about this thick and you have to sign on the dotted line and you know nobody reads that stuff anyway, we want to be able to take the caution and really go through this process to figure out, okay, well, with power comes responsibility. What do I need to do to migrate through this safely? And that's very important. So you want to make sure how to store it properly, how to transfer it properly, until it becomes second nature, just like sending an email. So right off the bat, I do have the workshop that is right after this. Personally, I do consulting. Of course, you can go online. I spent the better part of probably 4 months and having a background in IT, staring at these screens. I'm like, I am not leaving until these make sense. It can be a little overwhelming. And it took quite a bit of time to be able to learn. There are some simple steps, and I do have courses as well available that you can take home that has all the tools to help you buy cryptocurrency, sell cryptocurrency back into US dollars, store it in your own wallet, and how to transfer it to others safely and securely, and what to do if that disappears and how to get it back. So it is a very new field, and the technology still has a little ways to go before it's just as easy as sending an email. I mean, we're talking 1985 when I was born. How long it took to send an email? I mean, it took you probably at least 10, 15 minutes. Now you can pull out your cell phone and go, send, done. But it's not going to take very long. With the internet already being in place and things like that, the connections are there that it's going to happen much, much faster. So to be able to get into the space, it does take quite a bit to learn the odds and ends, which is another reason of why I'm doing what I'm doing. So like I said, I do have those courses available here to take with you. They're digital videos if anybody is actually interested. It's a beginner's course. It teaches the absolute bare minimum, click by click, how to. If you can play the movie, you can follow along. And it will teach you the basics of digital wallets. And that class is actually going to have the digital workshop that I do tonight on it. So anybody that is interested, or maybe even can't make it to the workshop after this, but is interested in the classes, it'll have the entire overview dubbed over and then resent to them as well. Not a problem. Anyone else? All right. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, you guys are the ones that made this possible, and I hope this information is beneficial to you and bringing value to you in your life, not just in monetary forms, but in just countless other ways that are now being possible with this type of technology. Thank you, everybody.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Awake and Empowered TV with our video clip from our 2018 Awake and Empowered Expo. Join me next week as we speak with another incredible individual who's standing on the leading edge and changing the world.